Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I found a very interesting article, and I'm not just saying that. It's an article about a Russian prisoner. They say he's a mercenary, obviously. So he's caught by the Ukrainians and interrogated. And he's going to explain how this war is different than others that he fought in. I read another article, and that article was again from the Ukrainian side, and they were interviewing actually I think it was Ukrainian side, or it was American, nevertheless the same thing. It's there were some fighters who fought in Ukraine, and then when they returned home, or they were out of, they said they're not going to fight. They said the war over there is very different than they ever fought. These are veterans from the United States, and I think they were reporting that what's in Ukraine is a different kind of war. And I was like, oh, okay, what kind of war? They are just what? But now this guy gives a little bit more details on that, and I would like to share that with you. Now ignore the certain, words that this article uses, because you have to understand, and you do understand, that this comes from the Ukrainian side, so they will portray the other side as pure evil, and so on. So, just get the essence of what this guy is saying. So this article comes from Ukrainska Pravda, and it's from today, 25th of July, 2022. And I'm quoting, "War of another generation. You run, you hide for artillery." So you run and hide from artillery. The SSU interrogates a veteran of the Russian military operations. So a Russian mercenary who entered Ukraine to quote-unquote earn money admitted that he had not expected to get into full-scale military operations. A source, it's a video interrogation published by the Security Services of Ukraine. As I told you, these guys are ahead of the Russians, by posting people and putting them in front of the camera and telling them, So, what do you need to say? Nevertheless, I'm taking the propaganda, I'm putting it aside. I don't care about that. It's interesting what this guy says about the war. The captured, and I'm quoting, combat veteran talked about his participation in the so-called counter-terrorist operation of the Russian Federation in Dagestan, Russia, and admitted that the fighting in eastern Ukraine is a completely different matter. And this is the guy. If you care to see him, he doesn't look scary at all, but give him some automatic weapon and he feels like a god. We all do. So the occupier admits that most of his colleagues were guided by previous Russian special operations and went to Ukraine to earn extra money. Instead, they got into a full-scale war. Quote from the occupier, and I'm quoting, "When we got to Popasna, Luhansk Oblast, when we went further, we were shocked. This is a war, let's say, of another generation. That is, the artillery works, but there is no such thing as machine gun fights against another machine gun." That's something that I asked. How this guy's gonna work? Like, hey, let's go. It's all in the buildings, all in the, and these guys are just bombarding. All right, so it's is no such thing as machine gun fights against another machine gun. I managed to notice during 2 weeks of service, for the most part, you run, you hide from the artillery. A lot of people are scared. So you run and hide, and there's no machine gun against machine gun. Well, it says the SSU reminds those invaders who were fought themselves in a wrong war. They are in a wrong war by calling it, you can surrender, you have life, and ultimately return home. Well, that's the same thing you can say about the guys who fight on the other side. That's why you hear 99% of the mass media is talking about shelling there, destroying there, hitting there, bombing there. intercepting there, another helicopter, another this and that. You don't really hear about, sometimes, rarely you hear that 50. The most I heard was 150 invaders were eliminated in an ambush or something like that, and it was, I don't know, about a week and a half ago. Before that, I didn't hear like, they encircled 3,000 guys and there's, got them dead. The only thing that was like a big negative point for Ukraine was the Mariupol, the Azovstal steel plant. That's when 2,449 or so people came out. Not as gay or transgenders, they just came out. They didn't surrender, they came out. And then they went to the occupied territory. They were not taken. They just went over there. I'm going to go take a stroll to the east. Euphemisms, So nevertheless, this is the situation here. And then if you have it like this, I wonder how can you have so many casualties? You hit the right area on what? No, it's just a different kind of war. I believe this guy because, as I said, I never read about two fronts, fighting with one another. Let's say engaging in infantry fight. People that it's just groups and groups. I watched some videos where I saw people in running from one building to another, shooting at one another, but it's just it's like a guerrilla war. If you remember how, if you watched some or if you read about the Second World War when Berlin was sieged by the Soviets, it was the same thing, but those guys went over there with tanks and or the artillery in, and they were bombing as well with their airplanes and so on, dropping bombs. But it was from house to house, house to house. But again, I think over there was a bigger scale invasion or than here. Here I see groups of 5, 6, 7 people. This is what I could see over there. Doesn't mean that they are not, but we don't hear of, okay, now they fought here in this area and we have 3,000 Russians and 2,000 Ukrainian dead. No such war, no such, well, it's something else. Maybe they're just using the artillery and then hope that the other they're going to exterminate the other side. That's basically what it is, I guess. So then, therefore, the Western countries will have to supply Ukraine so they can keep up with these guys. I wonder how these guys were able to advance so much. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.